All the world's a stage.
All the world's a stage.
All the world's a stage.
All the world's a stage. And all the men and women, merely players.
Merely players.
Merely players.
Merely players.
Boston Podcast Players.
Hi, this is Mara Palma, Head of Communications for Boston Podcast Players.
This is Greg Lamb, Marketing Intern for Boston Podcast Players.
Welcome to our next episode.
We are with our featured playwright, Rosa Nagle, with her play, Blood Cake, and it's also Ghost Stories, which is a larger play encompassing Blood Cake. Is that how it works out?
Blood Cake is the epilogue to Ghost Stories.
And that's what we're going to record.
So, yes, Blood Cake.
Well, behind the scenes, we have been recording the excerpts first, and then after 6 excerpts have been done, we're recording interviews all in a row today. But we have yet to record Rosa's excerpt, but we will. And it will be Blood Cake.
And it's an exciting stage for us because we don't know anybody. So a little bit of the unknown, a little bit of experimenting.
And after this recording session, we're finally going to have enough material for complete episodes. Until then, we've been having a piece here and a piece there.
Piece of blood cake?
Piece of blood cake. That was one of my questions. Have you ever eaten blood cake? Because it's described in the play. Let me just describe what it is in the play. As a confection made out of pig's blood baked into, I tried to find pictures of it online. Is it like a pie or is it more of a cake?
Actually, sanguinaccio is actually a cake made with pig's blood. But there have been variations that I have seen. I myself have never eaten any. My parents have. Mm-hmm. I will stay away from desserts with, pig's blood in them. Oh. But some people do make a pie out of it. That much I know. So,
I mean, being Chinese and going to dim sum, I know that pig's blood is something you can put in your rice soup if you so wanted.
Yeah. And with Filipino food, we cook with ox blood and not the same, but octopus ink. So
I have here some blood cake for you to try now.
Can't see it, folks, but we're eating blood cake right now.
It's kind of bloody, kind of delicious.
Better than Sweeney Todd.
So I'd like to start with an anecdote about the Boston Theater Marathon and reading the packets that they have. When they judge, any person can pick up 10 short plays to judge. And one year I went and picked it up and I started reading them, and they had a higher than usual number of sort of experimental pieces. And I started reading them and trying to critique them and score them, and it occurred to me that I am not the right person to judge experimental work. It just sort of is outside of the normal way I think. And I know they're trying to do things that are different, and some of them are succeeding better than others, but I couldn't really fit it into my critical framework. So I think I ended up giving them little 7s and saying, I'm not the right person to be judging this. And if your play was in that packet, I hope I didn't hurt your chances of getting in the marathon that year. So Rosa is someone who definitely does sort of the experimental type of playwriting.
And I know we've talked about that in some of our previous Play Lab meetings. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if you could talk about whether or not you identify as a playwright who writes experimental work, and maybe some of the barriers and frustrations that you've encountered. I know that's what we've talked about in the past.
And the joys.
The joys, too. Yeah, you're right. Right. It's not just frustrations, people.
I very much identify myself as experimental. I always say experimental playwright. I kind of do that. The frustrations just... we'll start with that. I shouldn't. But, it's... My plays don't usually fit into a 10-minute sort of time limit. And most 10-minute festivals and short play festivals around here don't seem to include too many experimental plays. I do think that more experimental plays are being produced in Boston, here and there. But I still think we're mainly a traditional playwright kind of town. Mm. But,
I know that you produce many of your own works yourselves.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I'm part of Contemporary Park Shorts, Amy West and I. And in the summer, we plan to produce outdoor immersive theater, one play every year. For our inaugural year last year, we produced my drama October. And this year, we're going to produce my comedy, Tangles in Your Teeth. So we just have to find a park or someplace like that for the fall. So that is one way to get my experimental shows out there. And I do like writing immersive theater, so that is one way to do it.
And you're doing this in the suburbs of Boston?
Yeah, in the Boston area, yeah, in summer. Because, well, weather-wise, we really only have 3-4 months, you know what I mean, between June and October, really. After, it does get colder in mid-October, so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think what's exciting about the work that you're doing with Amy West, and I did, in fact, see last summer's production of October. Mm-hmm. I think what's really exciting is that you're taking the initiative and you're taking the agency for producing your work. I think that's really exciting. I think that's really important for us as playwrights and artists to say, okay, I want to do this thing. We're going to do this thing. And what I noticed is that maybe someone who read your play October doesn't get the same experience as when they're in that park. Yeah. So I don't know whether you think about that when you're writing and in trying to say, hey, let's see this on its feet. You'll get a different experience.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know whether that enters into your calculations.
Absolutely, because when I write outdoor theater, immersive, sort of site-specific, whether I move the audience or not, it really is all about audience experience. How will they interpret such and such, and my choices?
Yes.
Do I show this scene this way or that way? And it's not so much what's on the page. It has to be more what the audience will see. It's a little different than, I think my indoor work is all, it's on the page. Everything on the page is a dialogue work. But outdoor theater, I don't know. It's more the other way. It's more about what I think the audience will like better visually.
Oh, okay.
And I know that both in October and in Ghost Stories, you've worked with a large cast. You have a sprawling family tree. I remember reading Ghost Stories in Play Lab. There were so many people there with different relationships, and you had different ages. He's 17 here and 25 there and 60 here. I had to try and make my guess at a family tree of all your characters just so I can keep everyone straight.
Yeah.
What do you like about working with large casts and interlocking families?
I like the different relationships that come up. I find that when I write for a small cast, I really have, let's say, 3 or 4 people. It's really just about these 3 or 4 people. But when I work with larger casts, 10, 12 people, I add on even more because this person is cousins to this person, but they're married to this person, and then I bring them in. So it makes more different relationships that I didn't think about in the beginning. All of a sudden come here and, oh, look, here's something I can explore. So I find that enjoyable about writing with large casts.
Do you plan these large casts at the beginning of your writing, or does it just sort of happen midway?
It kind of just happens. I don't set out to write these many people or this many, they just come to me because I'll be thinking about, let's say, mother-daughter, and then all of a sudden I hear another voice. Oh, that's the aunt. I have to bring the aunt into this, so these voices come to me.
Yeah, we have to leave suburban Boston to go to Europe somewhere in the 40s or something.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
When did you start playwriting? Did you get a late start into it?
Yeah, well, I wrote plays in my youth. When I was middle school and high school, I wrote these little plays all the time. I wrote exclusively plays. And after school, my friends would come over, my brother, my friends, and I'd type out a scene on my Smith Corona, and they would act out the scene in our living room. They weren't very good plays. They were just little scenes. But then I went to college, and I just studied poetry and concentrated on poetry. I didn't get back to writing plays until I was in my 40s, early 40s, a few years ago.
What made you decide to pick up playwriting again?
I was writing poetry, and something was missing. And I always in my poetry, I've always written dialogue. A lot of poets do not write dialogue, some do, and I've always been drawn to dialogue in my poetry. And then one day, I was 40 or 41, and I wrote this, what I thought was a long 8-page poem. And then actually it was in my late 30s, because then I put it down. I found it 3 years later, and it was on the death of June. And it was actually the beginning of my play. I said, oh my gosh, it's a play. It's not a poem. It was so strange. It occurred to me 3 years earlier, and I just fell back into it. It just feels natural to me to write plays now. It's strange. I don't know.
So you're primarily a playwright now with a side of poetry?
Yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah, that is, yeah.
So last year I went to a playwright's night out because, Alana was telling us we have to go and socialize more.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Part of the scene. And I ended up sitting with some friends of yours that I don't remember their names, but these ladies go out on trips with you, I guess.
Yes, Judith and Lisa, my cohorts, yes.
And they told me about your movie viewing habits of renting the morbid art house scary movies that scare the bejesus out of them.
Yeah.
Your Babadooks and let the right ones in. So what?
Yeah. I just learned something new about you, Rosa.
Those scary movies.
So what appeals to you about them, and does that find your way into your playwriting?
Yeah, it does. Well, I write a lot about ghosts and otherworldly characters. I do, yeah. So I just love that. And so I don't think I write horror per se, but I do try to write.
There are some chilling moments in ghost stories, but it's not horror.
No, it's not horror per se, but I do like a little bit of scariness, just a little.
A little bit of edge.
A little bit, yeah.
Would you say that Blood Cake, and of course also like ghost stories, you've also mentioned your play October. How would you say that the excerpt that we're going to be doing, is that pretty representative of the type of work that you like to write or find that yourself writing? I know there's also a range of your work.
Yes, I think Blood Cake is a good representative of my indoor work, yes.
Yes. Indoor. Good distinction.
Yes.
Okay.
In that, but dialogue-based, lots of poetry, all that. And it's really just a lot of duologues, a lot of people, voices interweaving. I like to do that, especially indoors. So yes. Mm-hmm.
I think we forgot to do the sort of 5-minute descriptor of the whole play of ghost stories. Would you want to give that a shot of saying what kind of is entailed in the play?
Yeah. Ghost Stories is a play about a family who gathers around a campfire and they, for fun, tell spooky stories to each other, kind of to scare each other.
It's sort of from their family experience, right? Not like...
Yeah, I guess. The stories, they become more and more family-oriented. They're supposed to, they're supposed to be fun or something in the beginning. But as the play goes on, it's a split stage, stories do become more personal and secrets are revealed that weren't revealed before and hidden truths, and it's not fun at the end. It started off a fun campfire experience and then it becomes this real, dramatic sort of play.
Well, we've heard it here. It's not fun at the end.
Yeah.
So, what stage is this play at? Is it sort of in reading stage, or are you waiting for a production? What are your...
I would like to see it on a stage. I would like to work with a group, a theater or someone, develop it with them and then perform it. I've done as much as I can on my own, I think, with this play. So, yeah, and part of development is readings, so a reading would be fine. Toward development, yeah, that's where I think I am.
So what's the phone call that you would like to get from someone listening to this podcast and hearing the excerpt and being suitably impressed by it?
I really loved Blood Cake, and I would like to see the whole play. Please send it to me, and let's develop Blood Cake. Let's develop Ghost Stories. Yes, it's next year.
I have a park you can use.
Do you have any venues around Boston or the greater Boston area that are kind of like dream places that you'd like to stage something?
Originally, October, I tried to get permission to stage it at Fatima Shrine in Holliston, Mass. It's an absolutely beautiful area, and there's beautiful rosary walk, and I couldn't get permission, and I think that's too bad, because I think that site is just yearning for someone to produce a play there. There's an outdoor, altar area. There are chairs. It would be perfect, and there's a lake there, and it's lovely. So that would be my ideal, that spot, which I can't get. Also, I would love, somewhere on Boston Commons. Wouldn't that be nice?
Ooh, yes.
Wouldn't that be nice? So those are the locations I would love to do something outdoors, yeah.
One last thing I learned today was that you were a semifinalist for the O'Neill Prize.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I was.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Which play was that?
For Ghost Stories.
Ghost Stories, and that was just past year?
Yes. Yep, 2017, yeah.
Rosa, what brought you to Boston? Tell me why you continue what keeps you in Boston?
Well, I'm born and raised in the Boston area. I was born in Winthrop Hospital. I grew up in Revere in my young childhood, East Boston. And I went to college here at UMass Boston, and I just never considered living anywhere else. And I just continued to live here and stay here.
Yeah. I'm so glad you're part of the Boston theater community. I'm really, really excited. Without further ado, here is an excerpt of Rosa Nagle's Blood Cake.
Blood Cake by Rosa Nagle. The stage is dark. We hear the buttons of a tape recorder being pushed. Bianca's voice from the tape recorder.
My name is Bianca Esposito. I'm 13 years old.
A button is pushed.
Bianca Esposito.
A button is pushed.
I want to tell you.
A button is pushed.
My name is Bianca Esposito.
A button is pushed.
To tell you. Say it. I want to say it. Why can't I say it?
Bianca pushes the stop button. Lights on stage. Bianca, a 69-year-old woman, sits against the headboard of a mahogany wood bed in full view center stage. The collar and sleeve ruffles of her pink nightgown are seen over the white down blanket. Her long gray hair is disheveled. She holds a weary expression. Propped on the pillow to her left is a large tape recorder. A large box sits on the pillow to the right.
Today is Wednesday, October 16th. I am 69 years old. I began keeping a diary when I was 13 after my father found it. He tore the notebook into shreds.
She raises her hands above her head, wiggles her fingers, brings her hands down.
Paper flew all over my room like a snow squall. It looked so pretty, so white, as if I had left the window open all night. You must never speak of this. You must never write of this, he said. He pressed his fingers into my arms.
Bianca presses a button on the tape recorder. Immediately, she pushes the stop button.
I was sent to New York, and my cousin Naomi gave me this tape recorder. She said, keep it in your bureau in plain sight. Tell everyone it's your assignment from English class, that you're memorizing Shakespeare. Start off every tape with a monologue. For when someone checks, nobody will ever suspect that this is your diary.
Bianca presses a button on the tape recorder. Bianca's voice and Bianca speak mostly simultaneously in this section, their lines blending together.
If by your art, my dearest father, you have put the wild waters in this roar, allay them. On my birthday, when I was 13, would pour down stinking pitch. Mama baked a blood pudding cake, sweet pies made with pig's blood, sanguinaccio.
Bianca pushes the stop button on the tape recorder.
My grandfather was a pastry chef in Calabria. Nobody could bake sanguinaccio as beautifully.
Bianca pushes buttons on the tape recorder.
Sat on back porch by a statue with broken hands. Mama put fresh cheese on the table to dry. My cousin Alfredo said, don't you know it's bad luck to kneel at St. Francesco's statue?
Bianca pushes the stop button on the tape recorder. She closes her eyes. Pause. Salvatore enters stage right, He walks with a black wooden cane to Bianca. His gait is labored. He leans away from his right knee.
After I told them what he did to me, my parents folded me up like a cloth doll and stowed me on a train. I raced to upstate New York to maiden aunts in country. Severe, slim-cheeked, tugged toward the ears by gold hair clips. They sent me to clean horses' stalls to repent for the transgression of having been raped.
Salvatore sits beside Bianca. He watches her for several seconds.
Have you eaten anything yet?
Bianca shakes her head.
Stephen came over. He baked you cheddar biscuits. He wanted to see you. I told him you were asleep. I don't understand why you don't want to talk to your own grandson.
I need to fix my tapes. I need to organize things.
They upset you.
They are my life story. It's my legacy, Salvatore. I want to give them to Louisa. I want our daughter to understand I was a girl like her. They would dress me in white and coil wire into a halo and thrust me out a window of St. Lucia. Attached to rope and pulleys, I would fly like an angel over the crowds with plastic wand and leather shoes, scared and angelic, just like her. Scared as true angels are scared, just like her.
Young Louisa rushes on stage. She wears a white gauzy dress, clutches a bottle of children's Benadryl. Young Louisa stands close to Bianca's bed. Bianca turns to her. Salvatore does not see her.
So what? I give him a little medicine. Only a little. Just enough to relax him. You're twisting your face into a smirk, as if I've told you there's the slasher. Look, behind the pine tree. It doesn't hurt him.
Young Louisa dashes stage left.
Why are you so concerned with this? The doctors removed the gallstones. You're not dying, Bianca.
The doctors are full of shit.
You're a mean old woman. You know that? Shall I walk you to the kitchen?
Bianca squeezes her eyes shut in a spasm of pain.
What's wrong? Would you like me to stay?
No. I want to be alone to work on my tapes. Do you understand? I want to be friends with my daughter again. She hates me. She hates me because I took Stephen from her. You went to her apartment. You saw how she was with Stephen. It's me she hates. I had to save that boy. Louisa was too young. She wasn't thinking clearly.
I can help you with your tapes.
She's not the only woman who lost her love, who was left alone as a young girl. And now he's back again. Anthony has returned from wherever state he's been slacking in for the last 2 years. He's in her life, he leaves. He comes back, he leaves. This is not... You knew about this. Why did you keep the secret from me? I am her mother. She is supposed to tell me. What kind of father is he?
Do you divulge your grandfather's recipe for blood pudding cake in your tapes? Stephen will keep your secret.
I am the one she's supposed to trust. I don't think he can sell that pastry at his bakery. Who would buy desserts made with the blood of slaughtered pigs, tarts filled with blood pudding anymore?
Salvatore rises from the bed, kisses Bianca's shoulder. He walks down stage, stands staring behind him at Bianca.
To you, I've devoted my life. I've worked myself arthritic. Fresh bergamot tea, vacations in Sicily. I've given you everything you've asked for. I've suffered your erratic temperament, cleaned up the aftermath of your tantrums. You have never been completely well, Bianca. Even as a child, you'd wander through the neighborhood, absorbed in your imaginary world. You would wave your hands high above, sway to a music in your head. I've been devoted to you since my first memory. Birthday. Mama, clapping her hands, vanilla ice cream and you, twirling in a white dress.
Salvatore exits, stage left. Bianca ejects the cassette from the tape recorder. She places it on the bed. She shuffles through the box and finds 2 cassettes, holds them up to her eyes.
19th birthday. Walk? Wake? Oh, God. 2. 20th birthday, Sam.
Bianca holds the second cassette high in the air, lowers it, and rubs it against her cheek. She then hides the second cassette under a pillow. She places the first cassette in the tape recorder, pushes a button.
The not approved in the height of a villain that hath slandered, scorned, dishonored my kinswoman? Oh, that I were a man! What? Bear in her hand until they came to take hands, and then, with public accusation, uncovered slander, unmitigated rancor? Oh, God, that I were a man! I would eat his heart in the marketplace. Today is October 16th. I am 19 years old. I hold Naomi's veil. I glide fingers over French tulle, snag a corner on a cuticle. My nails, skin around the bed so bitten, I can feel the warmth of tears. She balanced daisies in a plastic pail. It will be okay, Bibi. I will help you, Bibi, were the first words Naomi said to me 6 years ago in New York. She was home for winter break. She walked into the stall where I was scouring the floor. She was in her crisp nurse's uniform, white hat and stockings and shoes. She dropped to her knees and hugged me very tightly. She smelled clean. Naomi patted my stomach. It will be okay, Bibi. I'll help you, Bibi.
Voices. 2 male, 1 female flood the stage. Bianca pushes the stop button on the tape recorder. Louisa enters, stage right. She appears older than before. She wears a black skirt suit. She is followed by a young man, Stephen, and Salvatore.
You need to get out of this bed, Ma.
Hello, Louisa.
You are so histrionic. Walk down the hall. Have some breakfast with us.
I baked your favorite biscuits. How are you feeling?
Bianca pats Stephen's face.
Your grandmother is being melodramatic, Stephen. Don't you see how she loves attention?
You should have more patience.
I wish I could, Dad. But I have a meeting in an hour with my editor. I have to prepare notes, rehash my speech. It isn't enough that I have to waste my time on a wild goose chase following leads. I have to defend my expenditures.
Go then, Mom. I'm here.
This is the worst possible day for me to waste my time.
Will you come back later, Louisa? I'm organizing my tapes. I want to share them with you. You can sit beside me. I will tell you about my life.
I don't have time for this.
We share so much in common. I can help you.
Help me? You're very good at that.
I know how it feels to be angry, to have that hatred coiled inside of you, twisting you inside out.
You took my son away from me for 10 years. I had to beg to see him. I made one mistake, and you never let me live it down. You treated me like a criminal.
Don't say that. That's not how it works.
I couldn't be alone in the room with Stephen. I couldn't take him to my house if you or Dad weren't there.
I saved your son. My God. I would have done anything to save my own son.
What son? You never had a son.
I would have done anything. I would have lived in the horses' stalls. I would have traded my life for him.
Your nonsensical ramblings are too much for me today. I need to go. Call me later.
I'll text you.
Louisa kisses Stephen's cheek and starts to exit. She stops.
You must know Anthony's back from Seattle. We're meeting later. I don't want to hear anything about it. I love him, Ma. You don't understand that. You don't understand what it's like to be unable to be. How you need him to exhale through your hair to feel alive. And you feel like you'll blaze one day, fill the air with ashes. The moon luxates. How when he's gone, it's a wan tissue moon we spin underneath.
Louisa exits, stage left. Salvatore follows her.
So, what's on the cassettes? I can't replicate your exact recipe. I have the crust, a basic pasta frolla, but the consistency of the filling stifles me. It's partly dense bocca negra, part butter cake.
You have to smell it.
My measurements have to be accurate, chef. I run a little place downtown.
This concern, the decimals of cooking. Aroma is what engages us. Haven't I taught you that? A good baker knows the difference between sugar and syrup by the fragrance.
I fear that my nose is not as strong as yours, Nona.
You are just like your mother. Just like her.
Stephen kisses Bianca's cheek.
Apologies, chef. You would tell me if you were in pain, wouldn't you? You wouldn't be stubborn?
Stephen kisses Bianca's cheek once more. Exits, stage left.
Bergamot blossoms, honey and figs.
Young Louisa, in white gauzy dress, holding a bottle of children's Benadryl, runs on stage. She trips over one of the potted amaryllis. Upstage, soil spills. The black flower pot chips. She spins into place, center. Salvatore, appearing younger, walking easily, enters, stage right.
So what? I give him a little medicine. Only a little. Just enough to relax him. You're twisting your face into a smirk.
How am I looking at you, Louisa?
Again, as if I've told you there's the slasher. Look, behind the pine tree. It doesn't hurt him.
You're poisoning him.
I'm all alone, Dad. I'm all alone now. Anthony's gone.
Let me help you. Keep Stephen here. Continue with your studies. Your mother and I can look after him.
Young Louisa spins in place. She thrusts the medicine bottle to the stage.
Good. Take him. Take him away. Fucking suburbia, you'll be doing me a favor.
Young Louisa darts, stage right. Salvatore stoops, retrieves the medicine bottle. He walks upstage and stands the fallen flower pot to its height. He brushes the spilled soil away. Salvatore exits, stage right. Bianca ejects the cassette from the tape recorder. She notices a cassette tape askew in the box. She lifts it, holds it to her eyes.
There's no label. Which one is this? No. I have Sam's tape. Which?
Bianca places the cassette in the recorder. She pushes a button.
Don't just stand there, but I do. Contemplate a book. Press my fingers into a spine. Read lines. Turn my face toward the Sunday crowd. I shiver. Avert my eyes. He wipes sweat from his neck. He enters the store. He enters. Walk, stupid. I step toward the bookcase. My back is to him. He doesn't see me. Cherry tobacco. Strong cologne. He unsnapped the buttons on my blouse. In my house. On my back porch. I was on the porch near St. Francesco. Don't you know it's bad luck not to kneel by St. Francesco? I was on the porch in my own house.
Bianca ejects the cassette. She thrusts it to the floor. Bianca pulls the cherished cassette from her pillow.
Ooze. I love the word ooze. In Calabria, blackberries ooze when you lift them to your mouth.
She raises her fingers to her lips. Bianca places the cassette into the tape recorder. She pushes a button.
Oh, swear not by the moon, the inconstant moon, that monthly changes in her circled orb, lest that thy love prove likewise variable. Do not swear at all, or thou wilt swear by thy gracious self. Today is October 16th. I am 20 years old. I met Sam today.
Bianca pushes a button on the tape recorder.
A year since Naomi's death, I moved back to Boston. They sent me to Calabria, to my grandfather's bakery.
Bianca pushes a button on the tape recorder.
I met Sam today. For 2 weeks during siesta, I watched Sam walk through a bedroom window gazed past battered trunk by the bed, a yellow and white coat, unfettered jonquils, its hem of petals, edges gathered into it, beyond clothes horse and blue chambray. I don't know what I expected, clambering the stormy path to the pier through afternoon gauze, ignoring the plate of bergamot oranges and Earl Grey tea in a tall, crooked glass Nano laid out for me, opting instead to dangle a rod under my arm and lure oily cod. It was so good to feel the tingle of the heat on my thighs after months of coarse wool, to feel the wet floorboards beneath me. Lying in the sun, I watched the jacana flick its spider legs. I forgot Sam was there. I was stunned by Sam's acknowledgement of me. The turn of his head, his nod, the flip of fishing string. What is it? What did I want to say to this stranger? Who are you? Why have you come here? What are we meant to be? Rare bird, Sam said. Never seen in these parts. He squinted at the jacana. Treads on rocks. Looks like he's walking on water. What kind of man is he? He's a wetland bird, up from Brazil. Must be lost. How could he speak to me freely, like this?
Bianca pushes the stop button. The end. Blood Cake, an excerpt from Ghost Stories, was written by Rosa Nagle. To learn more about Rosa Nagle, please see her new Play Exchange profile. Bianca was played by Amy West. Louisa was played by Andrea Humez. Young Louisa was played by Grace Trapnell. Salvatore was played by Dave DiLillo. Stephen was played by Trevor Choleva. The stage directions were read by Allison Lazar. This episode was edited by Greg Lamb. Special thanks to Andrea Humez, who hosted this recording. Follow us on Twitter at BossPodPlay, BOSPODPLAY, and on Facebook. Please rate us on iTunes or your podcast player of choice. You can support us on Patreon at Boss Podplay. Our theme uses music from Snowman by the Neils. To learn more about the band, see www.neils.com. Playwrights, if you have a script, do not send it to us. We will never have time to get to it. Steal this podcast idea instead.
On the next episode of Boston Podcast Players, we go back in time.
Whoa, hold on just a minute. There's a few very important rules to time travel that you have to learn before you go cavorting off into the future.
There's always rules.
Yeah, pretty much. Rule number 1, don't do that.
What?
That. In any circumstance, whatever you were thinking about doing, just don't do it. It would keep us both a lot safer.
Fine, got it. Let's go.
The Traveler by Colleen Hughes. Download on the first Monday of the month.